Untold stories of the Women's Euro final penalty drama. Welcome to Football Focus. Hope you're all having a great day. Before we kick off, if you love football, hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Let's dive in. The final whistle blew, the score remained level, and the stadium became a cauldron of unbearable tension. 90 minutes of regulation time, 30 minutes of extra time, and still there was nothing to separate two giants of women's football locked in the battle of a lifetime. All that remained was the dreaded penalty shootout, the most ruthless way to decide a champion, the most dramatic moment the game can produce. From the stands to the touchline, from the technical areas to the penalty spot itself, hearts raced, lungs burned, and souls trembled. And yet what the millions watching around the globe could not see were the hidden layers, the whispered truths, the secret struggles that played out inside each player's mind. These were the untold stories of the Women's Euro final penalty trauma, and together they paint a picture more powerful than the mere outcome of the match. For the first penalty taker, the walk from the halfway line to the spot felt like a lifetime. She later admitted that her legs felt as though they were sinking into the turf, each step heavier than the last, each breath shallower. She was not simply walking to strike a ball. She was walking through the weight of a nation's expectations, the voice of every coach who ever believed in her, the memory of her parents who had sacrificed everything to see her play. The referee's whistle pierced the silence, and the ball struck the net with force. Relief flooded her body, not joy. For a moment, she was not a hero, just a survivor of the first battle. The goalkeepers carried burdens few could imagine. For one, the memory of a missed save in a past tournament haunted her mind, replaying as though it were yesterday. She had been blamed before, headlines screaming her name in the aftermath of defeat. Tonight was her chance to rewrite that history. She studied the eyes of every kicker, trying to catch the faintest tremor, the slightest tell. The other goalkeeper, younger and less tested on this stage, tried to control her breathing. She whispered to herself before each penalty, "This is mine." Yet even with hours of preparation, the penalty spot is cruel. It is not simply about skill, but about destiny. By the second penalty, the tension had escalated. The chosen taker was a player who had missed in a domestic final years before. She had promised herself she would never stand on that spot again, but the coach had insisted. She looked up, tears threatening, and steadied herself. She whispered a prayer, something she had repeated as a child when kicking balls against the wall of her small garden. The strike was perfect, the net bulged, and suddenly the years of doubt lifted from her shoulders. That penalty was more than a goal. It was healing. It was closure. It was redemption. Then came the turning point. A young forward hailed as the future of her country stepped up. Barely into her 20s, she had dreamed of this moment for months. She wanted the glory. She wanted the headlines. She wanted to etch her name into the history books. But destiny can be cruel. Her shot was struck with too much power, and the goalkeeper guessed right. The save rattled the stadium. Cameras caught her collapsing to the turf, clutching her face. But what they didn't capture was the quiet apology she mouthed to her teammates, nor the way her captain rushed to lift her, whispering, "You're still one of us. You're still a star." In that embrace lay the essence of sport. Not judgment, but unity. The crowd itself became part of the drama. Parents who had traveled from distant towns held each other tightly, knowing their daughters were part of this history. Children waved flags with trembling hands, their voices breaking as they screamed encouragement. Among the fans were former players, women who had paved the way when the game was ignored, now watching a generation take it to unimaginable heights. Every penalty was a collective inhale and exhale. Every save or score a tidal wave of sound that seems to shake the very foundation of the stadium. The fifth penalty brought with it unbearable weight. For one side, it was a chance to seal victory. For the other, a desperate attempt to survive. The chosen kicker looked around and saw thousands of eyes fixed on her. She remembered the training ground back home, when she practiced with no one watching, kicking until her feet blistered. She steadied herself, but her mind was a storm. The strike was struck true, but the keeper's fingertips brushed it away. Silence engulfed the stands. In that silence was a lifetime of work undone in seconds. On the other end, one player knew her kick could win the tournament. She had practiced this moment endlessly in training. She would place the ball, look to the sky, and take one deep breath before striking. But training was not reality. Reality was the sound of 60,000 voices, the sight of cameras flashing, the knowledge that history balanced on her foot. She struck, and the ball slammed into the corner of the net. The eruption of joy was immediate and overwhelming. Teammates stormed the pitch, the bench emptied, coaches sprinted with tears streaming down their faces. For them, this was triumph eternal. Yet the untold stories were perhaps even stronger on the losing side. One veteran defender admitted later that she stayed awake until dawn replaying the miss in her mind. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the ball rolling away, the keeper's save, the look of her teammates. She cried quietly into her pillow, away from cameras, away from reporters. Another player revealed she received hundreds of messages of support, some from rivals, some from legends of the game, reminding her that this pain was part of greatness. Coaches spoke about resilience, about rising stronger. The heartbreak was unbearable, but the pride remained unbroken. In the days after the final, the penalty shootout became a subject of endless analysis. Pundits debated tactics, psychologists discussed the mental strain, fans argued about who should have taken which penalty. But beneath the surface, what lingered were the human stories. The goalkeeper who whispered her child's name before each dive. The striker who clenched her fists and thought of her father watching from home. The captain who gathered her teammates after every kick, win or lose, reminding them they stood together. Football is often defined by moments of glory, but the penalty shootout of the Women's Euro final showed that its true beauty lies in its humanity. These women were not just athletes but warriors of emotion, carrying dreams larger than themselves, enduring pressure few could comprehend, and writing stories that would outlive statistics. The night ended with one team lifting the trophy high into the air, confetti raining down, while the other collapsed into each other's arms, tears mixing with sweat. Yet both carried legacies. The victors showed what courage and preparation could achieve under unbearable pressure. The defeated showed what resilience, dignity, and unity looked like in the face of despair. The untold stories of the Women's Euro final penalty drama are not just about who won or who lost. They are about courage in the face of fear, redemption in the face of doubt, heartbreak in the face of dreams, and unity in the face of failure. Years from now, the scoreline may fade, the trophy may gather dust, but these stories will remain. They will be told in locker rooms, on training pitches, in stadiums, and in the hearts of every young girl who dreams of one day standing on that penalty spot. This was football at its purest, its rawest, its most human. This was the penalty drama that defined not just a tournament, but an era. And these are the stories that ensure it will never be forgotten. Thank you so much for watching our video. For all the latest football news and analysis, be sure to subscribe to the Football Focus YouTube channel and stay with us.